guess like any real like undertaking or adventure derives from one initial sort of fantasy, and a blank canvas was just a vibe of excitement with a bunch of guys you've grown up with for like a true exploration for waves, and it sort of made me think less about how vague things were and jump on this plane and see how our little blank canvas would unfold. Just turned up to London all anxious and confused and spun out at dwarfed inhabitants like just buzzing around me. It was like, boom, we're straight into it. Hopped into the Winnebago type thing and off we went. It was all pretty weird because I thought we were all pretty keen to go to Ireland. But Mickey was saying that this wave could be good, and we're like, what? England? Like, you know, we're trying to get good waves here, Mickey.
First we get half an hour.
First fucking 10 minutes in the as he's blown out. We're actually parkies at the moment.
Yeah, the Winnebago was a bit of a kind of a disaster. The amount of money we spent on it, we all could have stayed in like a 5-star resort for that amount of money. But there's 6 of us living there, all of us having to live in the one little space for like a whole month. Like no toilet, no shower, hardly even any water to wash like dishes and stuff with. And so like obviously we all just become so seedy and just thinky. And yeah, Ireland's the sort of place where it just rains like every single day, and you spend a lot of your time indoors, like laying in bed all day when it rains. It was such a funny time. Like we just laugh and think how funny it was. Mickey was the only one who could drive, so he'd just drive all around the countryside just searching for waves.
Ryan Mattik, the mad dog himself, man. What a character. It just turned out that he was going to be in the motherland the same time as us, and we were just stoked that he could jump on board. Just a classic guy. As ever, a constant source of amusement. His bizarre eating habits, crooning songs, and he's a really welcome addition throughout the motherland part of the journey.
The landscape of Ireland is just so amazing. Like in every kilometre they'll just completely change its geological formation. Like we'll go from like massive cliffs to like rocky headlands to like huge bays to like tiny little bays. It houses so many surf setups, but a lot of weather conditions work against it. Just the tides being like 6 metres high, and just the weather just changes so quick. The winds will like be onshore, then they go offshore, and then onshore like all in one day. But I guess when we did get good surf, it just made it so much more satisfying. We were in Ireland for probably 35 days, and we only surfed about 8 times. But just those surfs were all just amazing. And yeah, looking back on it, it was definitely worthwhile.
Stuck it, mate. You got $3 a day to spend on food. Sometimes you gotta get stuff. Let's go.
We'd been checking heaps of waves for half the day because the swell was really big and offshore. When we finally come into this one wave, it had this left just reeling down like a bommy. We didn't really know exactly how big it was, but so we were just like so excited to just be out there. It probably only looked about 4 foot, and me and Brendo got out there first, and I got the first wave, and then I was pulling back out for the second one. This huge set, like probably like 12 foot, just come out of nowhere and just pitched and get bigger and bigger as it went down the line, just going through these sections. And Brendo was right out the back of the takeoff zone and just landed like right on his head. I was like, frig, hope he's alright, but I was just screaming, oh my goodness, this wave's unbelievable. And I was just so excited, and because it was like our first surf, and just in like pretty much the other side of the whole world, just a completely different ocean, just completely different water temperatures, and I was just so ecstatic at that time, just looking in towards the land, seeing like snow-capped mountains, and just so stoked I'd come on the trip, just so content.
Someone would scream, "We came here to party!" And it'd just be all on from there. It was just like a communal agreement, really. It was just cool, like fully joining in with the vibe, and everyone just got swept off in good times and intoxicated laughter and flaring hilariousness. And it'd just be pretty much those times that would break up, bouncing around the coast and the islands really nicely.
Call back tomorrow, yeah.
At 2 o'clock, right
We'll
here.
have a couple of pints and we'll go in.
Alright.
Alright? Don't forget no one.
We might.
Even in a place as cold as the motherland, it's amazing how fast you can just get amped up after seeing a couple of sets unload on a reef. Don't even think about the cold sometimes, in freezing temperatures in the rain, you can just power through the toughest times just because you're thinking all them people in places like London that are working 9 to 5 every day, and you realise how lucky you really are, and just throw on your soaking wet wetsuit and just get out there as fast as you can.
Middle Earth just blew me away. The first island we went to was just pretty much a sheer cliff coming straight out of the ocean. The Portuguese that live there have all these intricate little towns and roads and tunnels just all carved into the cliffs. All the locals there were just so nice. It was just so enjoyable, giving high fives and going out partying with them. And although the waves weren't that good, it was just the cruisiest lifestyle.
5 weeks in Middle Earth with Brenden Foster. Probably taught me a lot of things and opened my eyes a little bit. It was a really insightful experience in a way, and funny at the same time. I've known Brenden for a while now, and he's always a really interesting, almost like wacky fella that pretty much lives the life he loves, and he bounces around different land masses of this world, and he's known as a professional drop nair, but there's so much more to Brenden than I first thought. 'Cause my birthday was just such an amazing day. We decided to take a detour up through the mountains, and I remember just watching the sunset from like above the clouds, just being that high, just seeing like massive mountain tops just sticking out, and then just realising that it was my birthday that day as well. I was just so stoked, like really thankful. I guess it was a bit like nature's birthday present. When the opposite sex is around, and everyone just starts getting all excited, and you just see all the chicks starting to froth. You're thinking like, just simplify, boys and girls. Simplify. Don't get too worried about what's going on. Just let the good times roll.
we went to, although being really close to each other, they both were like the complete opposite. The other island, poverty seemed a lot more apparent there, so that was pretty like heavy to see, and the roads there were just so hectic. We had cars going like 130 down these tiny little roads. Whoever would be sitting in the front, they'd just be going, oh, just like scared for their life because he'd just be coming flying around the corner and then I'd nearly go off the edge of the cliff. And the person in the back would just sit with their eyes closed, just going on though. But the surf too was the exact opposite on each island as well. The hectic island had like amazing waves with really nuts reef breaks, and before we left to go there we were just like, oh, I hope it's good, because we were kind of a bit wary about if we're blowing it. But the surf just made us think that we made the right decision.
Get in the gut. Good God. Yes, who's that? Yeah, my escapades exceed caddy escalades. I best behave to the rhythm, I'm just a slave. Selected brave, my lecture made extra waves. Dogging your sound, closing you clowns just a cave. Address the rage, rush the stage just to blaze. Glorifying glamour and gore is just a phase. Cutting down the rainforest for cows just to graze. Is killing the populace while you clone test 2 days. Texture change cause of fantasies they try to feed us. Under the bridge drumming for fleeing Anthony Kiedis. I ran from elitists who got the truth confused. It's the man fit being in the one roots renewed.
Yeah, mystic mindset, travel at walk 8. Flashback to my very first taste of hash cake. Oh Lord, I feel so sensual. And every now and then I get a great sense of wow. Synchronization of the hip, gyration of the old time. New brand, back to black. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, boy, oh boy, girl, oh girl. Stepping out of place with the light of the world, I'm locked up. Wheat grass rushing through my veins. Skip over the rocky terrain and maintain like a weed whore. Checking that hydroponic bar. Earth child, come see me rolling in the mud. He Virgo, ever so civilized while out on road. No play down the catch wise. Don't wanna get mixed up in they mix up. Why not just fix up? Mind, soul, and mental plane. Join the ducks, pluck, in the pluck. Knock in the knock, the which, the where, the what. Tune on maneuver, get in the club. Stew chicken in the Dutch pot, running it up.
Yeah, the whole trip was based on adventure, I guess. Like, I love seeing things for like the first time, like rocking up to a new wave, and just you don't know what's around the corner, you don't know what you're gonna find, and it's just an amazing feeling. It's what I've always loved doing, and it's what I just want to keep doing for as long as I can.
Take my eyes that I could be so blind. I could not see it was there waiting. Lost and found the second time around was for me. Now I see, would not waste the moment. Oh no, midnight marauders, midnight marauders, midnight marauders, midnight. See them come to the midnight show, the midnight show, the midnight show. Seed of the midnight flower bloom, flower bloom, flower bloom. Off the track, them roots grow strong, roots grow strong, roots grow strong. Who's gonna be the one to go? The one to go. We are the midnight marauders. Work all day up to the night and find your way home. Night marauder, you will never walk alone. The time has come for us to leave the problems of the day, and I would not waste a moment. No way, no way. Went to the corner store to buy me cigarettes and some papers. When the girl at the counter caught my eye and asked me to meet her later.
Mars was definitely my favourite destination. When we first got there, we were just looking at each other, just laughing, going, how is this place, like, just amazing, like, the whole island, it's just so bizarre. It's like a lunar landscape, massive like lava plains of like molten rock, and then huge like volcanic craters. Mars is the sort of place that all the days would just blur into one. It was probably the place where the least amount of things happened, but the waves were just that good that we'd just surf like the whole day. You just get these sessions where you're just in complete denial. The waves are just pulsing through, and as soon as you catch a wave, you just can't get back out the back quick enough. It's just such an amazing place. The best of both worlds.
peak of the swell, I remember running around frantically, just absolutely bashing my toe on one of these old fishing poles that had been sawn off. So I quickly just took some painkillers and I ended up running down to the promenade and jumping in. I just realised the swell was way bigger than I thought, and I was the only one sort of paddling out, and my mind was going from like all these weird tangents, and I let my thoughts go, and I just remember like dreaming on some of the bottom turns thinking, oh, those painkillers. I remember the pharmacist was like reluctant to give them to me, and I remember Crashy paddling out, and I paddled up the Crashy like real quick, and I was like, Crash, just keep an eye on me because I'm having a good time, but I'm totally off the planet. Well, that was all pretty funny in the end, pretty insightful, like being out in the ocean then. It just shows like, if you tell yourself you're alright, but if you start panicking, that's when it gets dangerous, I guess.
These days January seems to be pretty much the toughest time of the year for me, as last year on the 11th of January one of my best mates, Paul Jenner, passed away. On the morning of the 11th when we awoke to pumping waves, I knew that this is what Jenner would have wanted, and we all knew that he'd been with us the whole time. So after we surfed all day, we headed up to the top of a volcano and sat up there watching the sunset, drinking beers, reminiscing, sharing the good times that we'd all shared with our mate. We all just sort of looked out into the sky, just knowing that the big guy was up there looking over us, just sending out that big laughter that he has that everyone knows him best for. As it got pitch black, we scattered some flowers, let them blow into the wind, and they were taken down to the ocean below. It was pretty amazing. So, at the end of the day, couldn't have asked for a better day or a better way to have celebrated our mate's anniversary.
Miss you, buddy.
It pushed me so hard surfing with Brenden and Crashy. In my eyes, they're pretty much the biggest wave riders around, and I knew that whatever we got faced with, they were going to try and take it on and challenge it. It just inspired me so much, and just watching them made me realise how glad I was to choose bodyboarding as my tool for wave riding.
I know, I see, I feel, and I fear it every day. These egos and minds and games with all their power could end our days. Still the sun, it shines, and the moon sings with grace. It's such a shame that all this shit exists here on this earth, this magical place. I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine, fine, fine. Yes, you have the funds and size and power to make some change. What you have will break their smiles. Too many people, too many ways. Each child who walks their line should be free to run their race. It's such a shame that all this shit exists here on this earth, this magical place. I'm doing fine.
So this one particular day, the other fellas had just headed back to turn themselves into lab rats for a few bligs, and it was a pump and swell, so we decided to check this spot out in the desert. There was these heaving caves of blues and greens exploding into this shallow rock ledge with like less than 1 foot of water on it. And I just remember thinking, like, I'm the only one here that's going to ride it. All the fellas are gone home. And I knew that it was riding the craft that was best for the situation. It's just ideal out there for a bodyboard, so I was just like, let's have it.
I can't sleep. I don't mind 'cause I can breathe. I don't need to close my eyes. Still a part of us inside.
To travel away with such good mates, it was all about getting in amongst this big beautiful world that we live in. It was just great how one little idea turned into 5 months of mind-blowing adventure.
Missing Hawaii this year was a pretty big thing. Like, before we went on the trip, I was in two minds about whether to go or not, but didn't even think about Hawaii the whole time. Just blown away, completely blown away.
I'm just stoked that I got to spend such an amazing trip with such a good group of friends. And I just started to realise that my main two passions in life is to bodyboard and travel. I'm definitely not going to stop doing it anytime soon.